Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Polywine, where we like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from the media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. So here we are. Today, Tuesday, November the 5th, 2024. We've come down. It's like if anybody's a long distance runner, it's like we've come down to last like 1.5 miles left of the race, and your legs are jelly and you're exhausted and you're tired, and it's a mental game now, right? I feel like this is where we are in the election today. It is the final mile. We feel like beaten up and bruised, and will we know by the end of the day? I sure hope so. But for anybody who has not voted yet, there were record numbers in early voting. I think last count, I think it was like 84 million people had early voted, and which is fantastic. If you have not done so, please get out and vote today. Vote today. Please exercise your right and get out and vote. Every vote counts and every vote matters. So please do so. But I cannot tell you how thrilled I am that it will be over today. I'm sick of it. It's everywhere in the news. It's in flyers in your mail. I mean, all the mail is flyers. It's on the podcast. It's everywhere. It's on the billboards. It's just everywhere on everything. And I'm over it. I'm tired. So, end of the day today, we will have some answers. I hope by the end of today that we will have the result of the presidential election. I hope so. I fear that it will be heavily contested, but hopefully we will have the results. And with that being said, I hope that it is peaceful. DC, I live close to DC, and DC has been, barricading and fencing and gating things off for security for at least 2 weeks now, preparing for the election. And from what I can remember, I was telling my kid about it the other day, I don't ever remember them ever doing that for election night. Now, it's one thing for protests or, inaugurations and things like that. For election day, it may have happened. I just don't really remember it. And I lived in DC during the whole Bush and Gore transition. So, I remember that. So it's just such a weird time. So I just hope we can all remain calm, whatever happens. But things have been a little heated lately. So please keep our fingers crossed that by midnight tonight, we will know who the next president will be. So fingers crossed, but my gosh, I am nervous. I was watching the police chief of DC speak the other day, and she was like, we are not going to tolerate for any unrest, for any, this, and that. And she was going down the list, and I would not mess with her. She looks focused and serious, and, there's a lot on her plate. She's got to be prepared for a lot. So DC, I hope everything stays safe, and I just hope everything's okay. But today's the day. It's been a long time coming, so today is the day. I'm sure my phone's going to be ringing off the hook today by text and everything, you name it, it's going to be happening today. I'm excited, nervous, and ready to be over. It's like the longest Christmas holiday ever, when you're just not that it's Christmas, but it's like you have all the build up to Christmas, and then the day it's over, you're just like, oh my God, I'm done. I'm exhausted. Not till next year. So thankfully for us, not for 4 more years. I am over it. So let's go. Okay. Now let's get out of politics. Let's go to just a little touch of sports. Congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yes, they are the winner of the World Series champion. Congratulations. Good series. And it was kind of cool seeing Hollywood the other night, how, you always have the Hollywood sign lit up, how they actually turned off the lights of all the other letters and left the D lit up, and it had it trimmed in the blue light. So it looked like the LA Dodgers logo, and it was lit up in the hills, and it just was really kind of cool. So congratulations to Los Angeles. They were having a decent year. And Great game. But we just had Halloween that passed last week. And I hope everybody had a good time, safe time. If you go through the celebrity picks on the line, I mean, a lot of really good costumes for Halloween. But I have to say, no question, hands down, my favorite. And she always goes all out. Heidi Klum. Heidi Klum's ET costume was amazing. I cannot imagine how long she sat in the makeup chair. She does it every year. She has a huge party every year, goes all out. Like that's her holiday. And as somebody who is a lover of the movie E.T., and I actually do not laugh, but I still have the original E.T. doll. Was it from what, 83, 84? I got it as a little kid for my birthday. Still have it to this day. I won't get rid of it. And I don't have anything else, but I have that doll. I love that doll. And I thought it was awesome. Her face like stuck out of the neck of that thing. And it was just super cool, but awesome, awesome, awesome. Hands down, best costume so far. Now, there was also another little hiccup that kind of happened in Orlando. They had also, during a lot of festivities, they had a shooting, and it was like a 17-year-old kid that was shooting. What's up? What is happening? You can't even gather as groups anymore. There's just too much unrest, and everybody's angry, and I don't want to say toxic energy, but it is definitely toxic, heightened feelings for everybody. Everybody's very emotional these days, and it's in a negative way. And that's why I just want this election to be over. Maybe there will be calm for a while. We need calm. Oh my God, we need calm. But yeah, and it's just insane. Absolutely insane. You can't even enjoy a holiday like Halloween anymore, where it's just fun, with that. But if you move over to Florida, and we love to talk about the odd things that come out of Florida. Weird stuff always is coming out of Florida. There's always weird crimes. There's always just terrible stories. But speaking of weird stories, and I'm going to kind of do a shift into a little bit of the strange news and some entertainment. There is something that has fallen into my lap of weird and wonderful shows. And it's on HBO Max, and it's called It's Florida Man. I don't know if you've seen it. It really is. It is a Christmas gift early. It is, because I always tell you, in some of our early episodes of the show, Polly, we used to talk about strange, and sometimes it's hard to get a lot of strange news. So I try to sprinkle it in now and again through episodes. But I used to do a little thing, and I still like to bring it up. Where in the world is this strange story from? In the U.S., is it going to be like Ohio? Florida is always on there. Texas, and sometimes Idaho. But international, typically a Scandinavian country or Germany, right? Usually. But with that being said, there's always those bizarre stories that come out of Florida. And that's why they have that thing called It's Florida Man, right? Where you can put inside Google, It's Florida Man, and just the most random, bizarre, wackadoo stories come up. And HBO has this show where they take real stories from Florida, either, from the police reports or from the news or whatever. But they have these really, really bizarre stories that you have the person who really dealt with this story, their real life situation, they're narrating the story. And then you have actors that are reenacting the story in these scenes. And the stories are so typical Florida. It is fantastic. It is the reenactors and are typically have a comedic background, and they are so funny. So there's been 3 episodes, I think, so far. So the first episode was, oh my God, this guy was online trying to find extra jobs on the side to make a little bit of extra money. And he came across this guy who wanted him to cut off his toes, eat them in front of him for money. So the guy was like, okay, well, I guess sounds a little odd, but I need the money. So he wanted to go see some concert or something like that. I'm trying to remember. It was a couple weeks ago. And so he's like, sure, I'll do it. So he starts telling the story how he goes to this house and he gets his good friend involved with it. And she goes along with it. Crazy. And so they go over to this guy's house. I'm like, which, you would think that he would be a freak. Okay, sure. What does that say about you? Who's answering that call? They show up to the house with his friend, by the way. And he's like, the guy, you would think he was a freak, but he seemed pretty normal, had like a respectable job, looked like he had a stable life. And, he's setting up the scene and all this stuff and ended up chickening out. But the story was just weird. And so that was episode number 1. Okay. So that was Florida Man story number 1. The second one was this guy just gets out of his car, walks over to some, pond, some body of water, and was like, that looks really refreshing. Now, you are in Florida, so any body of water should be a red flag or a caution or at least probably a sign. And I'm sure that there probably were. And if there wasn't a sign, there was definitely a fence that the man crawled through to get to this body of water. So, maybe the barrier should have told you caution. And you have this one guy that was like, I think it was close to a golf course and they were like teeing off and like, yeah, we saw this guy just start wandering through these woods and it looked like he was going through this fence. And next thing you know, I think he was swimming in this water. We couldn't really see that far away, but it was weird. And the guy was like, yeah, I was just swimming. And his stories were great. And I was looking up in the sky and I could see these clouds and these stars. And next thing I know, I turned around and there was an alligator staring at me and he ripped off my arm and he started getting me in this barrel roll and all that stuff. And so anyway, the alligator ripped off this guy's arm and the guy survived, freed himself from the alligator and ended up going to the shore and ended up taking him 3 days to crawl back out of the woods bleeding with one less arm, completely severed, which is crazy, and ends up collapsing like right by the fence that he broke through. And you see like this guy passing by and he was like, this looks like there's this man laying in the fields. And then you actually hear like the live 911 call where this guy calls 911 then you see the guy interviewing. He's like, I can say it was traumatic and I don't ever want to see anything like that ever again in my life. Just seeing this guy lay there on the side of the road, naked, bleeding, and I'm scarred for life. But the guy who this happened to was just kind of like laughing everything off. Like, yeah, man, I saw this water looked enticing. And then I went swimming and this alligator confronted me and we kind of did a dance and he ripped my arm off and took me 3 days, but I made it. And that was kind of his attitude. Like, yeah, I survived. I'm not going to let that one get to me. So, I mean, positive outlook, I guess. So that was story number 2. Now, story number 3 on the show, It's Florida Man, was so good. It was a girl, these 2 girls who hated each other and were fighting. They met each other at work and they were mermaids together. Mermaids. And there was some jealousy situation. A girl unfriended another girl. We all know if you want to piss somebody off, you unfriend them or unfollow them. Don't we all know that? And so she unfollowed her from this group chat, this one mermaid. And the head mermaid got pissed and suddenly just started becoming very vengeful and spiteful to her and started like trolling her and harassing her. And then, by the way, head mermaid was also a witch. Ended up buying the house next to the mermaid she was pissed at. Okay. And started harassing her, started having like these seances and these cult parties in her backyard and was taunting her windows and harassing her and going over her fence and taping off her cameras and they had to get legal involved. Can you imagine the cop showing up at the house to make a police report saying, okay, excuse me. Now, where did you meet the person who's harassing you? Well, we were mermaids together. I mean, what does the cop like say what is his facial expressions, his reactions. That's, are you just kind of desensitized to it because it is Florida? I mean, what's going on with that? But there's so many questions. But you hear about all the other mermaids. I mean, the story was absolutely insane. So the story about the mermaid and the witch was not only the quintessential Floridian crazy story, but that is why this show's great. And hearing the reenactors were hilarious. And oh my God, Anna Faris was one of the reenactors. It was so funny anyway. The show is so good and it is so perfect. And it's Florida Man. It's on HBO Max. It is true stories reenacted by actors and actresses. It is hilarious. Please watch it. It's Strange News reenacted. It's fantastic. Yay, I love it so much. Moving on to some other shows. Well, before I move into that, let's get into, there's been so much talk in the entertainment world, pop culture, everything, because of the documentaries about the Menendez brothers. It looks like they may be released. The DA has put in in LA, right, that he would like to have the case reviewed. And if there's merit to have it reviewed, then possibly have some of the charges dropped to a lesser charge. It was murder with no possibility of parole. Could it be dropped to a lesser charge, such as like manslaughter or something like that? Who knows? But it could very well happen. The ball's rolling. We'll see if it is stopped. There's fights on both sides for this to be speedballed and kind of, sped through the process of the legal process. And some are pushing back saying this is, this being re-examined and being put out there by the DA, could this be him trying to gain more votes, sympathy for votes, bringing this high profile case back into the spotlight? It's interesting, but it is out there. It is getting the exposure. It is talking about, and it's a possibility that, their conviction could be changed. And wow, I mean, that is something to see. I always kind of have a little bit, I get a little apprehensive when the court of public opinion or interest and things like that, high profile cases, when there's a big push by the public to have it re-examined for popularity. And I'm only using the example of Free Britney, the conservatorship. I really think that whole thing was pushed along by, it was so popular that it was getting so much public attention. There was so much media attention about it. And it put it in the forefront, and she was released from her conservatorship. And look, Britney has not been the same since. So did that one backfire? I guess that's a personal opinion, but Britney's definitely not doing as well as she was. So it seems to be, to me, I don't know. But what's happening, Britney? We miss you. We hope everything's okay with you. But poor Britney. Poor Britney. So that's why I always get nervous. And sometimes the legal system gets it wrong. That's why I totally support those freedom projects and things like that. Sometimes the legal system really, really, really gets it wrong. So it's not always bad having new eyes and new legal minds and things like that. Or the Innocence Project is what I was talking about, not the Freedom Project. Maybe there is something called the Freedom Project, but I'm thinking of the Innocence Project. It is nice to have fresh legal minds. Go back and look at some of these cases. It was something missed. Was evidence not submitted or evaluated? I'm not a legal mind. Was it not allowed in? These are the questions. So it's sometimes nice to go back and review these cases, but let legal minds do that instead of having so much of a public push. And I guess that's my point. But look, it could be happening every time I open up the paper or read about. I'm constantly reading about it. So the DA spoke out about it. So I guess they're going to have to see where it goes. But the whole Ryan Murphy thing. There's been documentaries going on about the Menendez brothers and the case and all that stuff ever since the crime happened in the late 80s. But this Ryan Murphy documentary has really put it out there. So, if it has the power to do this to the Menendez brothers, what else is next? What else is next? That's my question, because something else is going to have to happen. But I still hope, like, because with all the other documentaries that are coming out, not with only that, but also with like crime and stuff like that, I hope that it's getting the exposure to help for justice to be served. How is that for, maybe for people to be found for missing cases, murders, anything like that to be solved? I hope these documentaries and stuff like that does at least bring that to the victims, I guess. I just get so nervous. I do. It's tough because sometimes it gives it exposure in the negative way. And I just, victims are involved in this. And I hope for them, everything doesn't make them relive it, suffer again. It's just an unfortunate thing. Those are things that are happening with documentaries. I'm trying to think if there's some new documentaries coming up. I mean, there's just so much on the election and getting ready for the holidays. Everything. I think there's a lot that's kind of taking a back seat. But Bravo, got to tell you, is cranking it out left and right. You just had the OC finale. They're getting ready to have the reunion. Salt Lake City is bringing it. Potomac is definitely bringing it. Beverly Hills is getting ready to air. Have they announced when Miami is coming back on? I don't know. I want to say I think that's the end of the year, but I don't really know. But the news in the Bravo sphere is that Teddi Mellencamp has just filed for divorce from her husband. Sad to hear. I hope everybody can move on peacefully and be happy. But that's sad. It is. It's sad. They were a cute couple. They have cute kids, younger kids. I do remember years ago when Teddi had, I want to say it was her last kid. She have 2 kids, 3 kids? When she had her last kid, that kid had a major surgery. It's called, hold on. It's craniosynostosis. I know that because my child actually had it, where the cranium prematurely fuses, but hers was a different type, I think. So it's something in the craniosynostosis family. And that requires major surgery where they actually go in, they correct the skull, and they have to separate it. And so so while the body's growing and the brain is growing, the skull has room for the brain to grow. And that's a major surgery. And God, just traumatic for the entire family, for the baby. It's a lot. Having any child with any special needs, medical needs, disabilities, but long-term care and needs it's taxing on any relationship, for sure. The financial, the emotional, the psychological. That's really hard for any family to survive. It really is. It is. And I feel for them because they were a cute couple. They seem to be very much into each other. Times are tough. Things are challenging. And, all we can do is move forward, provide the best co-parenting environment for your children because the kids are cute, really cute and young. So hopefully they can co-parent well together and move forward and everybody can be happy. But it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I mean, 10 years is a while. So, it seems like they had a good run for a while. And Teddi Mellencamp's very pretty. She's a very, very pretty woman, super tiny. I was just never really a big fan of Teddi myself. So, but she still sprinkles back in. She's on OC now and again with Tamra. She still floats around with Kyle. She's good as a friend of, an occasional friend of. How's about that? But that's in the news. Teddi Mellencamp is splitting with her husband. So best of luck to you guys there. Now, let's back it up. Oh, and also on this week on Below Deck Sailing Yacht, there was a Tiffany. Tiffany from, was it Dallas? Was she from Dallas? I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think she was Dallas. She was on the yacht. She's so cute. She was really cute. So it was nice seeing her back, a little flashback. But so let's go this week. So let's start back on Salt Lake City. So last week, the week before, we had a fantastic episode, right? We had the mob wives anniversary party, which I thought was great. And Angie K, again, if you're going to do a party, that's the way you do a party. You have multiple fights, you have it all in one house. Then you sit there, not in my home, not on my home, but then everybody else can have a fight. That's the way you do it. So Angie K, if you're going to have those type of weddings or those type of parties, please, 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 please bring it. I'm loving it. Let's see. So we left off and there was a huge fight between Justin and John, the husbands of both Whitney and Lisa Barlow. I am on Team John on this one. Look, let's be honest. Justin was being messy. Justin was being super messy, inviting the Osmond gross, chunky jewelry, shirt too tight guy with the charcuterie. God, he was so gross. I can't stand that guy. And then the other guy that Brittany brought to, he was gross anyway. But anyway, so we left off with them fighting and boom, and then it was resolved. It was resolved like that. And then Mary did a prayer and Whitney and Lisa, who were going at each other, Mary asked them to hold hands and they did, and all was fine. Like, I mean, that's it. You're going to have a blowout like that and then leave me hanging with just that? Come on now. Please, 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 please. Now, it did get good. It did get good. And I'm just going to bring back again. Out of all the, Heather, I am so not feeling you. And you do look like a major asshole this season. I am enjoying Bronwyn, the new girl. She's kind of kooky. She's got that. She's the one. Okay. How do I say this? She's a woman that's kind of prudish, in my opinion. Little straight and narrow, little square, but tries to be crazy and quirky and kooky because it's cool. Like, you start seeing that when she picks up her husband, who travels all the time, and every time that she goes to the airport, which seems like it's every week, she's in some new costume. And I'm going to say costume because it's a freaking costume. She was in like a panda, a frog, a mushroom. They showed a few. So it's a thing. It's a thing. And although it's going to be entertaining for the people who probably that work at the airport, they're like, oh God, what's your bet on this week? What is she in? Her husband doesn't seem too into it. You could see him going, just don't ask. And it's like she's trying to spice up, this guy. He's a little, I don't want to say he's Kramunchkin-y, but he seems a little Kramunchkin-y. Like, he could be fun. And, he's got the fun sweaters sometimes. He seems, kind of old and grouchy, and that's okay. We all earn that right as we get older, I think. But he seems a little Kramunchkin-y a little bit. But he's not really having it. Not really having it. You'll just see it, like, other people in the airport are looking at her like, what is this lady doing? I'll be like, just don't ask, because I have to walk out with her and everybody's going to make fun of me. So just don't ask. So he kind of takes it on stride. You see how he's really sweet and protective of his stepdaughter, Gwen, because now that the family is kind of trying to get involved, it's messy. That whole story, how she was a young pregnant mom, and with the guy, the dad, I want to say husband. I don't think they were never married. They were too young. How he passed early, and the daughter never was able to know the dad. And there's only one picture that she's ever seen him. I mean, that whole thing's really sad. It's a very, very, very sad story. And it's so sweet that he's very protective of her. Like, but he's a grandpa. He's grandpa to her. Grandpa dad, I should say, stepdad. But it's really sweet how protective it is of her. They're planning an anniversary party, and I'm telling you, the drama is going to get, because you just see how dramatic Bronwyn is, right? You see the high drama. She acts like, oh, I'm so easygoing. I'm very sophisticated. It looks like she's very rich. I'm this highfalutin lady. No, it seems very dramatic and kind of put on for me, a little hoaxy, because she's like and you can see it with her over the top outfits and her over the top decor and style, and it's very eclectic. And let me just put it into another little point that it doesn't all go well. When Heather goes to her house for lunch or coffee or snacks, whatever you want to call it, Heather's getting a tour of Bronwyn's house, which looks like a beautiful home, a hodgepodge of style, if you will. But it just symbolizes those people that we know. They look like they've got it all together and they're so with it, and but they're really a hot fucking mess on the other side. And you see that because she's like, I've been here for 2 years and nothing's really done, and I don't even have stuff on the wall. And meanwhile, her dog is literally shitting all over the place, or all of her dogs. Like, how many dogs did she say she has? She has 4 dogs, six dogs. That's insane. Who has that many dogs? I mean, her house must smell so bad of dog and feces and ew, ew. And we all know that. We all know them. We all know those people that have a lot of money, but why can you not hire somebody 24/7 to take care of that? Right? That's disgusting. So, ew, ew, ew. But I'm really liking her. But now she invited Heather over to see if she wants Heather to go on this anniversary honeymoon kind of thing, getaway, because Heather's just been a kind of an asshole to Bronwyn, and Bronwyn's kind of testing it. And Heather's like, hold on. So you're not inviting me over here to apologize. You're inviting me over here to see if I basically pass the test to go to your anniversary party. No, I'm good. Thanks. So Bronwyn's getting into it with everyone. And that makes it interesting. Mary is really giving it to everybody too. And I love Mary this season. I love Mary. I love Angie K. They're a lot of fun this season. I say bring them on. And again, everybody leave poor Lisa alone. And wow, Lisa, your sister, you guys look so much alike. It was crazy. But I'm still on Team John. Husbands ended up having lunch together to see if they could move forward, right? So Justin and John go to lunch to see if they can get past it. And John's like, we can, but I think before we do anything moving forward, you need to apologize to my wife. That's right, John. You said it. That's right. You should apologize to Lisa. You absolutely should. Have Lisa approached him? No, not at all. Not at all. I think Justin was being messy. I think Justin was, I don't know. Justin bothers me. I don't know what it is. John, you're writing my book, but something, he's just too much of a tryhard. Too much of a tryhard. Justin, I've got my eyes on you. Now, that was Salt Lake City. We have the OC finale. All right, let's get into this one because I want to get into Potomac because, first of all, Potomac is kind of my town. Okay, and I don't live too far from it, and I love the Potomac women, and they, again, nobody throws just classy shade like the Potomac women. No one. With the flair, with the accent, with the drama, with it all, with the stage presence. Yes. That's Potomac. So, but going to OC, they had the finale. Okay. It was okay. They threw the party. Jen and Ryan got engaged. Good for you, Jen. I think you knowing that you're engaged, that validates all the poor choices that you have made. I don't want to say necessarily validates them, but maybe you needed that. I don't know, because the signs are there that you did blow up your life, right? Right. And I do not know what went on behind your marriage with your ex for a long time. I don't know. You had a lot of kids, after things can get very commonplace and very in routine in lives like that, and can come stagnant and boring. And I can see where people would be very unhappy in that. Sure. Totally get it. But it sounded like how everything happened with Ryan kind of happened got a little crazy. You met him at the gym. He was giving you attention that you haven't had in a while, and you really liked it. And he was flirting with you, and you liked it. And you stepped out of your marriage. You said it. And after that, this kind of craziness has happened, and everybody's been throwing out all these accusations about this new guy. But again, no matter how much of a dick Ryan's been and how much a douche he sounds like he's been in the past, I do agree with everyone else. No matter what you say, he took in her kids. You know, a guy who's always been single. He's never had kids. He's never had pets. He took in your pets. He took in your whole, she has like, what, 5 kids? She took in all the kids. You know, there's something to be said about that. And he's still with you. And, you know, I mean, there's a lot there. He could have run away. He could have hit it and quit it. Like, I hate to say it like that, but he could have. I mean, everybody, Tamara kept saying that's his personality. So there you go. But they got engaged. Yay. And the rock was huge. So Alexis throws her an engagement party, and the theme is really good. It's ugly bridesmaids dresses. And that's a great one. Everybody's ever been in a wedding, we all have an ugly bridesmaid's dress. All of them. Although I have to say, I actually had one bridesmaid's dress that was very, very pretty. And I wore it for one other function once because it was just beautiful, simple, springtime color, just beautiful. And I kept that one. All of the other ones, hideous, overpriced, too much fabric, just hideous. So we all have them. So I thought that was a great theme. And most of them turned out for the occasion, turned out and turned up and dressed up for the occasion. Most of them. Gina, struggling. She was struggling. What were the tights? Do you wear tights like that? I think Gina confused ugly bridesmaid with ugly 80s. What was the tights all about? What was everything electric blue and tights? Katie, yours was fine. Alexis, whatever. Heather got the assignment very well. And so did Elizabeth. Who is it? Who was the other one? It was it Tamara? Who had the good one? Somebody else had the really good dress. And why am I drawing a blank on it? But anyway, they look great. I thought the dresses were fantastic. But at the end, you know, they go through the thing. Everybody's trying to get together. Shannon, of course, storms off early. John Jansen shows up. John Jansen, you are disgusting. I am so not a fan of yours, and you gross. What else? Yeah, he showed up and had to do his cameo. You know, I just can't put this together I am just not a fan of John Jansen at all. Let's see. But then they wrap up the party. Everybody say, oh, wait, hold on. The guy that actually was indicted with Ryan. Ryan is in the clear. He's been cleared of charges. But the gambling guy showed up at the party, and so did Joe from the first 2 seasons of OC. So Joe, and fun fact, Joe used to work with Ryan, the fiance, during some of the first few seasons of OC. So he's been circling around that OC pool for a while. And Joe introduced Ryan and the guy who was just convicted of all the gambling stuff too. So, okay. There's that. Alrighty. Yeah. So, but then what I found to be very interesting is that they were talking about, you know, the relationship. I wish him well. Tamara, you still look like the biggest bitch ever this whole season. And it just continues right to the finale. You just look awful. You can go back on your apology tour. It's a little too late. Everybody's mean. That one obviously clear. But I just felt so bad for him because after all this happens and everybody's, you know, they're wrapping it up and they're doing it with an Instagram theme, you know, they're playing the music that they wrap up every Housewives with, and they're giving the updates on what's happening since the wrap of the finale, and they're giving Emily's story and Katie's story and this and that and this and that, and they wrap it up. And then you see, was it a couple months later or a couple weeks later, the news comes out about Ryan and the gambling scheme and the FBI and this partner that Ryan works with, how he's like the whole $16 million and all that stuff. And it's out. And Jen goes over to have lunch with like Katie and Gina. And, you know, they're trying to comfort her. And she was just like, I can't believe this. I was riding so high and I thought everything was so perfect and he was the perfect guy. And then this, and then you see her break. And this is where my heart just sank for Jane. I mean, it just dropped because she was like, I fucked it all up. I've messed everything up. I left everything for this guy. And then this happens. I'm embarrassed. I'm humiliated. I blew up my life for this guy. And everyone just felt so bad for Jen. And with all the other women, they're like, look, you can, yeah, sure. Jen makes a series of poor decisions. There's no question about that. She's made one poor decision after another poor decision after another poor decision and brought her children into these poor decisions. Like they are definitely feeling the consequences of her actions. But like this is bad. And she put all of her trust into this guy, and this guy led her down the wrong path and lied to her and all this stuff. And it's awful because it's not just her, it's kids too. So everybody was really, feeling for her there. And it cuts off. That's it. You see her bawling, crying, end of scene. Then Jen cuts right to like Andy Cohen show. Watch what happens live with Andy Cohen. And Jen's on it. Jen, you look great, by the way. And she's like, nope, Ryan's there. Ryan was in the audience. They're still engaged. She's happy. And she's like, he's been cleared of the charges. I have a lot of questions there. But she's like, he's been cleared of the charges. There's nothing against him. And we're happy and moving forward. So, hey, still together, right? So, Tamara, and what you had said about him before in the past may be true from him in the past, but he's still with her. She's still sticking by his side. He's still sticking by her side and still taking care of all the kids that moved into the house. So say what you want. And he definitely, no matter what, he still has horrendous taste and style. Something's working for him. So there's that. So I don't know. And Andy did say that he felt that the reunion, it was a good closure. There was a good resolution at the end. So hopefully everything will come together. Now, will Katie come back? I hope so. I really liked Katie. I don't want Alexis to come back. I've told you every episode, I don't think Tamara should be back. I don't think they should have brought Tamara back. They should have brought Vicky back. Well, Shannon, I guess, has got to come back. You kind of have to bring Shannon back. But Shannon needs some time. She needs a lot of spa treatments. I think she needs a lot of massages. She needs to see Dr. Moon more acupuncture, more cupping. I don't know. Walk through fire. I don't know what you need. You need to sleep in salt rooms, Pink Ilium salt rooms for like weeks on end. I don't know. But she needs something. Something. Let's see what else. Potomac. Well, that's enough. Right? That's enough. Orange County, it was an okay season. I'm sure the reunion's just going to be okay as well, but let's move forward. But I would like to see Katie come back. I do want to add a note. There is a new husband that I think is adorable on the show, and that is Katie's husband, Matt. His facial expressions the whole time were adorable, especially at the dinner parties and stuff like that. He just looks a little shell-shocked, and he looks like he makes a strong martini, so I like that guy. But yeah, he's adorable. And then when everybody was a little upset that, Heather was upset that Katie didn't acknowledge her walking in and all this stuff, he was like, that's some coach shit. I like that. I think that was good. So I like you, Matt. You are adorable. Now, I want to move over to my girls of Potomac. Potomac, nobody brings it. Even when nothing happens, something's happening, and that's why they're so good. Potomac, they're back in Lake Norman. Mia's still bringing it. Stacy, the new girl, looks just completely shell-shocked by everything. Like, what? Huh? Who? Huh? Did you not do your homework before you came on the show? If you didn't, you should have. Like, she definitely has that on-camera presence always about her. What? Like, she's just, I don't know, she looks like she's just a little too good for this show. Like I said, the last episode and this episode that, you could see some of the cracks. She just seems like she's a little too goody two-shoes for the show. I don't like that. But she's funny, though. I mean, she was just like, wait, why are they fighting? Because when we left off, Mia was fighting with Kierna about the scar and this and that. And her ex-boyfriend, who Mia said was a drug dealer. And she was like, well, what did you do, Mia? Mia's like, oh, I'm a stripper. Let me just tell you, this is what makes Mia so incredible for this show. I freaking love Mia. She's messy. She's truthful to some extent, but she loves just to stir that bubbling cauldron. She's just messy, shady, funny entertainment. I wouldn't say she's loyal. She's loyal at moments, but then it'll turn her back. I mean, she's great TV. She really is. So she's sitting there. What was she eating? Was it grits? I think they were eating maybe shrimp and grits. I don't know what it was, but she's just like shoveling. Like, I'm guessing it's grits, or I don't know what it was, into her mouth. And every time she would just say some new shovel of food. So Kieran would be like, well, what'd you do? And she's like, I was a stripper, now entrepreneur, and takes a bite. And she's like, well, that's streets. And she's like, well, I didn't have to go to the streets. And Kieran goes, well, that is straight streets. And she's like, mm-hmm. And I mean, she's just bite after bite, just unflinched, unfazed, doesn't come up from the steady pace of eating her food. Yes, Mia, you've got Jacqueline, who's still sticking up for you kind of at moments, but still there for you. That's what a girlfriend does. But Jacqueline's throwing out her own fair shade. I mean, it's just great. It is just great. She's just unflinched. She's just testing the waters for the new girl, hazing her just a bit. Let's see how Kieran. She held herself well until she freaked out. She held it for a while, but let's see how well she deals with the season. I think she's got something there. I think I like it. There's a good reason they brought her back, and she does need a little hazing. Everybody's got to haze Stacy a little bit more. Something. This TJ guy. What was that call all about? Well, I'm just calling to check in to see if you're following through with what we discussed. You sticking to the script, like, essentially, right? Ugh. Oh, he's another tryhard. He is a tryhard. This guy wants a show. This guy wants 15, 20 minutes. He wants to constantly be talked about on the show amongst the women. He's so gross. I've already said he gives me a lot of, like, TJ is his name, but he gives me that TJ Holmes kind of vibe. You know, trying to sneak in. I'm trying to be a good guy, but I'm kind of a slimy guy. Look, that's just my personal opinion about TJ Holmes. That's kind of what I'm getting from him. And then he's not wanting to have sex with her. I don't know. It's just weird. He's weird. The lights are flashing and the bells are dinging. Something is off with this guy, and Stacy is just oblivious, doesn't even see it. She's such in the phase of horniness. She just doesn't see what's happening. I still find the timeline of when she left her husband, when she was interested in this, it's all interesting to me, a little suspicious interesting, but there's that, it's just weird. It's weird. And I like the fact that Wendy's like, they give me couple that met at Bible camp and I want off this chat. That's how I feel. That they're just I feel like something's going to come out about this guy. Like his past, his shady behavior. I don't know. Something's off there. So I'm here to see it though. That's for sure. So there's those two. But Karen's still in major denial. We're just going to wait for the court case. And Karen wants to throw out her shade and this, like the whole Gordon thing and Ink thing. And I'm glad that Jacqueline was trying to give Mia some points of reason. Like, you need to stop stringing this guy along. Like, he's going through some weird stuff. He's got some, he's come out as bipolar. Like, he's really going through a lot of things, and you kind of pulling on his heartstring and emotional strings a little bit. It's just, it's toying with the man, and it's not right. You've got to make some clear boundaries, and that was a good friend moment. Now, she has definitely thrown out some shade, but raw truth to a friend, that's what we all need. We need that. So I like that she was good to Mia in that moment. But she's going to throw some more shade out. That's what Jacqueline does. And now when Karen was throwing out shade about Jacqueline's guy, that was interesting. The cops, 25 charges. I don't know what happened there. I don't know, the accusations, what it was, I don't know. That was a lot. I mean, that is a lot. Like Mia says, that girl stands by her man, and she is standing by her friend Mia after Mia was dirty to her last year. Barely came back last year, right? As a friend of Mia. It was Karen that brought her back this year, right? With the hat party, the hatitude party. That was Karen, right? And now Jacqueline's being messy with Karen. It is messy. It is great. I'm enjoying the new girls. I'm enjoying the old girls. Giselle's going through some emotional stuff, but I love seeing with her daughters leaving. A sweet moment to see her daughters go. But I'm loving Giselle and Wendy, and I hope that stays because everything else is a hot mess. Potomac has got it. There was some turmoil last season. They switched it up. But it's back, baby. It's back. And I love it. Those are my girls. Bring out the cherry blossoms and the more AI in the scenes. From the taglines that are great to the shade that's getting shadier to the mess that keeps getting messier. They are the best. I'm sorry, Roni. I keep trying to watch you. I can't. It's been difficult. It's been a challenge. I'll try. Elections tonight, I'm sure at some point I'm going to get sick of watching all the channels with their touch screens of the maps and which counties are up and states that are up. At some point, we're going to have to watch Bravo, and all we have is for the Real Housewives of New York tonight. Come on, we couldn't get like a replay of something else, but that's all we have. So I'm sure we'll be watching Bravo tonight along with the political news, but please, please, please get out and vote. So when we come back to you later in the week, I hope I can tell you that we have the results of the presidential election and we are moving forward in harmony. I hope that is what I can bring to you next time. And more juice and gossip, because I'm going to get sick of watching the election. At some point, I'm going to have to turn on a documentary. I'm going to have to turn on a housewife or the show The Villains, which I haven't been able to get into, but I watch it here and there, and it's pretty good, Or The Queen's Court or something like that. There's some good stuff on. Or it's Florida Man. Get out and watch it all. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please follow us on Polly on the gram. YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, wherever you get your feed, we will be there. Thanks so much for joining us and have a great day. Bye.